Paper Mario is back in an all-new adventure for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm here to tell you whether it's a crumbled-up ball for the waste paper basket, or if it gets a passing grade. Because I'm a teacher, and I grade papers. I'm sorry. Before we dive in, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel to become part of the Level 30 Gaming Fam. Thanks. Now, I'm not proud of that opening joke at all, but if you're not in the humor that causes an occasional eye roll now and then this game is not for you. The writing is sharp, very sharp, and lends itself to the casual nature of your journey. Now, I don't mean casual in a bad way. Many people are quick to lash out how this game is nothing like the original Paper Mario on Nintendo 64 or Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door on GameCube. And it's not. But can we just take a moment to say that just because something isn't what you wanted doesn't make it bad? For me, this game is just what I needed. After the intense story-driven focus of The Last of Us Part 2 and the quiet but bloody open world of Ghost of Tsushima, Origami King is an RPG light of sorts that's super enjoyable despite one or two gripes. Personally, I would say if you're new to the series, as many Switch players are, you're going to love this game. You play as Mario, who after being invited to Princess Peach's castle for an origami festival ends up on a quest to stop Ollie, the self-proclaimed Origami King. After your green brother runs off, you team up with partner Olivia, who just happens to be the sister of Ollie, and quest out on your own to unravel the 5 streamers that hijacked the castle. I'll refrain from spoilers the rest of the way since the story is worth the price of admission alone, even with the silly premise. And I have to say, it's really nice to play a Mario game that is so story-driven. There is something about spending time in a Mario universe with these characters in a way that just feels a little bit more unique than racing a clock and getting to a flagpole at the end of a stage. So silly is the premise in a wonderfully charming, albeit linear way. You travel to different regions while trying to track down each of the 5 streamers. The variety in the regions has been surprising, and heading to a new area always had me excited to see what's next. The way the game guides you through the areas is smart while still allowing you to feel like you're naturally exploring. Occasionally you'll backtrack a little to get a new accessory from a shop or hunt down a new item you'll need to progress. One part of the story, for example, had me tracking down a mystery object in a cruise ship in order to move a giant boulder. Thankfully, none of these things felt like a chore, but a natural extension of the story. Along the way, you'll have toads to rescue and secrets to find, so being attentive to your surroundings is key, but makes you feel really good for noticing, say, a small tear in the background or a rock that looks like it hides a hidden pathway. The game is really smart in letting you know how far along you've worked towards everything too, so it makes going back to find things a little less vague. While some may think it's redundant to uncover so many toads along your journey, I was always enticed by the witty line of dialogue that came from saving them. Some made me laugh out loud, while most gave me a serious chuckle. A few eye rolls, of course, are expected given the sheer number of toads that you'll find. So why find toads, you may ask? Well, toads you find and/or rescue end up in your battles with enemies and can be used for some extra help as long as you are willing to pony the coin. Cool on paper, I guess, but this wasn't an aspect of the battle system I used more than once, and even then it was only to test it out and see what it did. The battle system is one of the biggest areas of contention among hardcore fans of the series, but it seems only because there are no experience points to gain from battling, which is a staple of an RPG system. Instead, you'll be given coins and confetti, which again on paper don't feel like they mean that much, but since some of the accessories you can equip and purchase cost upwards of 8,000–10,000 coins, it's worth it to stock up. The battle system itself can be a little hit or miss, and I understand the frustration in redundancy. Your enemies surround you on a ring-like stage, and you are tasked with trying to line them up in a row or in groups of 4 before doing your attack. Doing so will issue an attack bonus, while failing to do so guarantees you won't be able to clear them all without sustaining some damage. It's a cool puzzle element to rotate and push and pull rings to line them up, but some battles are so simple that it hurts, and others had me scratching my head for a minute or two wondering what to do. Both scenarios are not what you want to encounter in the primary battle system, however those two feelings were few and far between. With the addition of items to use, toads to help out, and weighing internal pros and cons and who to attack first and how, I think it spices up combat enough to be interesting, especially compared to traditional turn-based combat that is frequent in most RPGs. Boss battles are even more satisfying and fun thanks to the flip of the script that has you starting outside the rings and trying to plot your path to attack the boss in the center. You need to move the board around following a path of arrows that will lead you to the correct attack. This process, while a little more engaging, is also a little bit more difficult and caused some yelling at the television. Still, super satisfying, however, landing that final blow. I understand what people are saying about the battle system in that it is within its entirety redundant in that you can move through the game avoiding battles as frequently as you engage them. And yes, it does get to a point where this is technically true. It was nice, however, going back to an earlier section of the game, using my weapon to attack an enemy in the overworld, then killed it immediately, seeing as how I was so overpowered to it compared to the beginning of the game. While it is possible to avoid battles in their entirety at random points in the game, doing so is not always the best practice, as sometimes you need to kill enemies to get the confetti to fill a hole in a room. This is a small puzzle element that does force you into battles, but at least it's done with intention. Very rarely did I find myself, however, trying to flat out avoid battles. Occasionally when I did this, it was merely at the end of a play session where I was just trying to get to a save box so I can wrap up and not prolong my playtime any further. While the system then might be considered flawed by some, I still think it's a really interesting way to move throughout the game and engage in battles. Paper Mario Origami King is a joyful game to play. I thoroughly enjoyed discovering every nook and cranny along the way and laughed with each and every toad I found. Save spots are plentiful, which means playing in bits and pieces was super manageable, and there was never a moment where I forgot what my objective is and what I had to do. I said it before at the top of the review and it bears repeating here. Experiencing time with Mario and friends in a story-driven adventure outside the traditional level-based structure is a delight, and jumping on the opportunity to do so should be the very reason why you play this game. The story is wonderful, the cast of characters you meet memorable, and it both looks and sounds beautiful. A quick note to the level 30 moms and dads out there too, as I've had a few people already ask me if this is a good game for their 5 or 6-year-olds. I will say that there is a decent amount of reading involved, so take that into consideration when shopping around this game for little ones. Otherwise, I think this is a fantastic game for everybody. Well, that'll do it for this review of Paper Mario Origami King for the Nintendo Switch. I hope you enjoyed. If you have questions I didn't get into, please put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. If you have a minute, we'd love for you to check out our other channel's offerings like podcasts, Let's Plays, previews, and more. Until then, I will see all of you in the next level.